Imagine this. You read a single word, sonder, in passing, perhaps in an article or overheard in a conversation. It lingers in your mind, almost like a whisper. That night it appears again, in a book you've been meaning to finish, highlighted on a random page. Later, it shows up on a billboard as you drive. By evening, it's woven into a song lyric or subtly echoed in a cafe conversation. Your first reaction is disbelief. How can this word, invisible yesterday, now saturate your reality? It's not just words. Maybe it's a rare electric blue sports car. You notice it once. The next day, 3 more appear in your neighborhood. Then 5 more. Suddenly the city seems crawling with them, all tuned to your gaze. Or maybe it's subtler. A medical term, a historical date, or a person's name. Something once neutral becomes unavoidable. You feel the world itself is conspiring to make you notice. But here's the unsettling truth. It's not reality that changed. It's your mind. This quirk has a name. The Baader-Meinhof Phenomenon, also called the frequency illusion. After encountering something new, your brain seems to find it everywhere. The first instance is accidental. The second, uncanny. The third, almost conspiratorial. Perception warps, filtering reality to amplify what was once invisible. Its name is darkly ironic. It comes not from a psychological lab, but from a violent German terrorist group of the 1970s. The Baader-Meinhof gang. In 1994, an online forum user noted that after first hearing of the group, they began seeing references everywhere. The term stuck. This phenomenon is more than a quirky mental trick. It's a window into the machinery of your mind, revealing how attention, memory, and obsession distort perception. Why does this happen? How does learning something trigger a cascade of perceived repetitions? And why does it feel so personal? Almost like the universe itself is attuned to your awareness. Segment 1, The Disturbing History. The Baader-Meinhof name carries a shadow. It links a benign cognitive quirk to a violent past. The Red Army faction, as the gang was formerly known, engaged in kidnappings, bombings, and assassinations in Germany during the 1970s. Their name evokes fear, chaos, and unpredictability. It's chilling that a psychological term rooted in perception and pattern recognition owes its label to terror. The phenomenon reminds us that humans are inherently wired to detect patterns, especially threats. Our ancestors survived by noticing subtle repetitions in the forest, a rustle of leaves that signaled a predator, a fleeting shadow that could mean danger. Fast forward to today, that ancient survival mechanism hasn't disappeared. It's simply redirected. Our brains now notice patterns in mundane details: words, cars, dates, even thoughts. What once kept us alive now fuels uncanny obsessions, making coincidence feel like conspiracy. Segment 2, The Science Behind It. The Baader-Meinhof phenomenon is powered by 2 intertwined cognitive mechanisms: selective attention and confirmation bias. Selective attention is your mental spotlight. Once something enters your awareness, your brain begins to notice it everywhere. It's not that the object or idea has become more common. It's that your brain, finely tuned to significance, can no longer ignore it. Confirmation bias then locks it in. Each new encounter feels meaningful because your mind interprets it as proof of its omnipresence. You think, I just learned this yesterday and now it's everywhere. There must be a reason. This is not magic, it's a neurological loop. The reticular activating system, a network in your brainstem, amplifies stimuli deemed important, shaping your perception without your conscious control. The result is an eerie sensation. Reality seems to follow your thoughts. Patterns appear out of chaos, coincidences feel like destiny, and you can't stop noticing. Your perception becomes a lens that amplifies obsession, warping the ordinary into the extraordinary. Segment 3, Real-World Case Studies. The phenomenon isn't merely academic, it shows up everywhere in real life. Take a journalist who learned about the northern hawk owl, a rare species. Within days, he began spotting it in his city, in places where ornithologists confirmed it should almost never appear. Friends claimed sightings too. Was the owl suddenly everywhere? No, it was his mind, tuned to notice something it had filtered out before. Finance offers a darker example. Traders report that once they identify a stock pattern, it seems to appear constantly in charts. They interpret this as insight, when in reality it's selective attention amplified by confirmation bias. Even in daily life, the effect creeps in silently. Names, numbers, fashion trends, and words, once noticed, they multiply in your perception. Psychologists describe it as a glimpse into the hidden architecture of human consciousness. We notice what we are neurologically primed to perceive. And yet this frequency illusion walks a fine line between curiosity and obsession. Some find it unsettling, even manipulative, as if reality itself is bending toward their awareness. It's a subtle reminder. The world may appear ordered and intentional, but often, it is your own mind imposing patterns on randomness. The twist and application. Now here's the unsettling part. You might not be obsessing over rare owls or obscure words, but the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon affects you every day in ways you barely notice. Have you ever learned a new song and suddenly heard it on every radio station, on every playlist, on a friend's recommendation? Bought a specific car and begun spotting it everywhere, on streets, parking lots, even in movies? Encountered a new psychological term, a historical fact, or a social trend, only to have it appear in articles, podcasts, or casual conversation almost immediately? If so, you've been caught in your brain's hidden machinery. Selective attention and confirmation bias have conspired to make reality feel aligned with your awareness. What seems like coincidence is a product of your neurological wiring, magnified by expectation and obsession. This isn't just a quirky mental trick. It's a mirror into your subconscious priorities and fears. Your mind silently highlights what it deems significant. If you're suddenly noticing a car model, a word, or a pattern everywhere, it reveals what your brain is tuned to pay attention to, even if your conscious mind ignores it. The implications are subtle yet profound. Advertisers exploit this bias constantly. After researching a product online, you start seeing it everywhere. Social media algorithms use it too, feeding you content based on your engagement and prior attention. Even relationships are shaped by it. Once you become aware of a behavior or personality trait, you start noticing it in everyone around you. And there's a darker psychological lesson buried in this. Once you realize your perception can be manipulated by attention and bias, it's impossible to ignore that your reality is partially constructed. You are not merely observing the world, you are participating in its creation, choosing what to see, what to emphasize, and what to interpret as significant. This is both liberating and disquieting. Your mind can conjure patterns, predict trends, and notice hidden details. But it can also deceive you, convincing you that random events are meaningful, orchestrated, or fated. The line between perception and obsession is thin, and once crossed, it can feel like reality itself is echoing your thoughts back at you. But the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon is only one window into the labyrinth of your mind. If awareness can warp your perception of frequency, what about memory? What about the shadows that lurk in your own recollection, twisting what you think you know? Consider the Mandela effect, where groups of people remember historical events, brand names, or pop culture details in ways that contradict reality. Entire memories, shared across hundreds or thousands, can be fabricated by the mind, creating a collective false certainty. Reality, it seems, is a fragile construct, malleable, subjective, and at the mercy of your brain's pattern-seeking obsession. Or take intrusive thoughts, a darker sibling to selective attention. Your mind will repeatedly highlight fears, doubts, or obsessions, making you hyper-aware of what you most want to ignore. The mechanisms behind Baader-Meinhof, attention, bias, and reinforcement loops, are the same mechanisms that can trap the mind in cycles of paranoia, obsession, and compulsion. Understanding these phenomena isn't merely academic. It is a key to understanding yourself. It is a reminder that your perception, your attention, and even your memories are tools, and sometimes weapons, wielded by your own cognition. The world is not always conspiring against you, but your mind is always conspiring to interpret it in ways that feel meaningful. So next time you notice a pattern, a word, a person, or even a coincidence repeating in your life, pause and ask, is reality changing? Or am I seeing it through a lens my brain has constructed? And that is why you need to watch the next videos. Because if your perception can be manipulated by attention and bias, what else might your mind be hiding? What other dark, invisible forces shape your reality without you realizing it? The answers are waiting in the shadows of cognition, and they are far stranger and darker than you ever imagined.